Hello, it's Template here. Here's an item on number theory. Arrange the numbers in increasing order. So we have three numbers here, 5 raised to 39, 3 raised to 80, and 2 raised to 143. Credits to the Assistant and German Academy for this item. As usual, pause this video if you'd like to give this item a try. But if you're done, let us dive into the solution. Alright, so we're trying to arrange numbers in increasing order, so obviously we would know which is the largest, which is the middle number, which is the smallest number, and it's a very common thing that all of us know, but sometimes it's not really exploited in the right way. But it is expected that we're going to use inequalities, so to compare which is greater than the other for this item. Now, it's kind of hard to compare three numbers at a time unless it's really obvious and you can take we can tell the difference. But since these three numbers are not really numbers that we can comprehend, so let us try to take two at a time. So let's just say for now, let's try to compare 5 raised to 39 and 3 raised to 80. Now, we're going to start with inequalities and hopefully we can get to some nice conclusions over here. Now, generally speaking, we write inequalities down and maybe a series of inequalities, and then we end up knowing which is going to be the bigger one. Now, we can try to make some observations here and say that, oh, the 39 and 80, that is roughly 1:2. So like it's almost 1:2, not really, but almost 1:2. So we are motivated to kind of compare 5 raised to 40 and 3 raised to 80. Now, we can compare the respective 40th roots. So we can try to raise both sides to 1/40 and compare it that way. So if I do that, the 5 raised to 40 raised to 1/40, that's just 5. And then the 3 raised to 80 raised to 1/40, that's just going to be 3 squared. Now, these are numbers that we can easily comprehend because 3 squared is just 9. And, well, since we know that 5 is less than 9, then obviously 5 would be less than 9. And we would be able to know that, well, the 5 raised to 40 raised to 1/40, which is 5. That's also going to be less than 3 raised to 80 raised to 1/40. And with the same reasoning, we can raise both sides to 1/40 and get this result. So we would know that 5 raised to 40 is less than 3 raised to 80. Now, why is this relevant? Because we're comparing 5 raised to 39 and 3 raised to 80. And we are pretty sure that 5 raised to 39 is less than 5 raised to 40 because the exponent 39 is less than 40. So comparing these two numbers, although we don't know what their actual values are, we started with simple inequalities, but we're able to reach that 5 raised to 39, it's going to be less than 3 raised to 80. So between these two, we would know that 3 raised to 80 is the bigger one. So that's going to be the main idea of this question. So let's try to do the same thing for another pair of numbers. Again, you might have chosen different numbers to pair with, but it should reach the same. We should be able to reach the same answer. All right, so let's try to compare 3 raised to 80 and 2 raised to 143. Again, not really 80 and 143. There isn't really a common factor between the two, but we can try to do the same strategy, like thinking like, oh, this is roughly 1:2. That's why I use 40 and 80. Now here, we can roughly say it's 4:7. So instead of using 2 raised to 143, I might try to use 3 raised to 80 and 2 raised to 140. Because I can try to see what's going to happen if I raise to 1/20 on both sides. Because 80 and 140, they have a common factor of 20. That's why I decided to do this. So at least the exponent is going to go down and it's going to be more of a number that we can actually comprehend the value of. So 3 raised to 80 raised to 1/20, that's going to be 3 raised to 4. Using the laws of exponents, we can multiply the exponents over here. So 3 raised to 4. And then in the 2 raised to 140 raised to 1/20, again, laws of exponents, we're going to get 2 raised to 7. All right, these two numbers are still big, but at least it is a value that we can easily calculate by hand. So 3 raised to 4 is going to be 81. Then 2 raised to 7 is going to be 128. Now, obviously 81 here is less than 128. So 3 raised to 4 would be less than 2 raised to 7, and therefore this would be less than this. Now, with this inequality, I can raise both sides, so going back to the original two numbers that I'm comparing. And from this, I can immediately tell that 2 raised to 143, that's going to be greater than 3 raised to 80 because of this, because I know that 2 raised to 143 is going to be greater than 2 raised to 140, which is greater than which is greater than 3 raised to 80. So I would know that 3 raised to 80 is less than 2 raised to 143. So we now have these two inequalities, and we can finally make the conclusion, because 5 raised to 39 is less than 3 raised to 80, and 3 raised to 80 is less than 2 raised to 143. Combining them, we would be able to get that in increasing order, it's going to be 5 raised to 39, 3 raised to 80, and 2 raised to 143. And this will be our final answer. Hopefully you guys learned something new from this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye!